Welcome back, baseball fans. We are back with our Legends in the Making playthrough on OOTP 26. We are about to start the 1994 season. We are in the new era of baseball, where now we are at 3 divisions in each one with a wild card performance as well. I do like our odds now that the Phillies are thankfully not in our division. And the Braves, our nemesis who have been our Achilles heel in the playoffs, are not in our division either, so they can maybe beat each other up. The Phillies, I must say, are stacked going into this season. Kenny Lofton, Ricky Henderson, Mike Stanley, Griffey, they are set. Eddie Murray's back there. Shane Reynolds, who just won the Rookie of the Year and the Cy Young. Jeff Facero's looking solid. Alex Fernandez was stellar last season. I hope he falls off. Aaron Seeley. That's a good team. I made a run at Bonds. He was getting so expensive. So he went to Baltimore. That's why I finally backed off. But you look at Baltimore now. Marquise Grissom, Juan Gonzalez, Barry Bonds, Mickey Tettleton's there, Jay Bell, solid shortstop, Randy Velarde, Brett Saberhagen, and Kevin Appier, Jeff Montgomery. They are going to be a solid, dangerous team. We know the Twins in the Central are going to be dangerous with Larry Walker, Bernie Williams, Jeff Bagwell, Mark McGuire, Alan Trammell. Oh, my goodness. But I like our team. So we made some moves. Craig Biggio, we did sign him. This is we traded for him. That's right. Traded away B.J. Surhoff and Orlando Merced to the A's to get Surhoff. We also made another swap to the Marlins where we were able to pick up Merced first. Then we spun him off to get Biggio. And we picked up Jose Mesa. At first, I was doing this to try to free up space for Bonds by trading away Joe Carter. I really wanted to free up the money. We had enough to potentially go for him, but we would have been done for extensions. And now with our lineup, I really like it. So we've got Maddux, Johnson. It's kind of like the Braves in real life. I believe I was told by a coworker that the Braves, like Bobby Cox, had a choice: either keep Maddux or get Bonds, and they decided to keep Maddux, and that's what we did too. So we got Maddux, Johnson, Rio, Glavine, and Chuck Finley. Larry Christensen is back from missing all of last year on the IL. He's going to be our setup man. Trevor Hoffman's moving to the closer spot to replace Eckersley. We've got Jose Mesa. Steve Bedrosian is a free agent signing. We've got Jamie Moyer. We've got John Franco. Again, I like our pitching staff. And then I think we can do okay without Bonds because it's Jimmy Edmonds' turn to show up. He's going to be playing left for us, actually, at the moment because for some reason can't play center, and Tony Gwynn can. Rondell White is going to move up instead. We do have Andrew Jones. That's another reason why I said, you know what? We just got to let Bonds go. I did sign Omar Vizquel to 1 year to back up Ozzie because Ozzie has a player option, I believe, after this. He's probably going to go. So since he'll be 40, we're going to probably try to re-sign Vizquel so we can have a wizard at shortstop still from one wizard to the other. Matt Williams is ready to go. We got Biggio. We got Galarraga, Nilsson, and Girardi. Paul O'Neill is this is going to be his peak years, I believe. Gwynn, Edmonds. I like our team. We're not going to put up quite as many home runs without Bonds, but we'll make do. When we look at the minor leagues and the people coming through, we do have, like I said, we got Ray Durham. We have Andrew Jones as well. We have Aaron Boone I was able to pick up. Charles Johnson at catcher. So I like what we have. And Tony Batista, who is going to be a solid player for us. Or we're going to be able to trade him away. The problem is we don't have any pitching coming through. A little nervous about that. But either way, I like where we're at. I like our chances. And I'm excited to kick off the 1994 season, our first with a wild card. This is a huge change in things. And I'm super excited to see where it goes. So with that being said, thank you for joining me today, and let's jump in and see how this season plays out. At the All-Star break of the 1994 season, which I didn't mention at the beginning of the episode, but this was the strike-shortened season where Matt Williams was making a run at 60 home runs. Gwynn was making a run at 400. So we'll see if either one of our guys can do it. And I'll tell you, one of them looks like he's doing it. One of them, not so much. But it has been a super, super start. But the Reds will not go away. So we're sitting at 659 winning percentage, 58-30. The Reds are at a 614 percentage. We're both going to make the playoffs. It's just, the Phillies not doing as well as I thought. They're not scoring as much as I thought either. Not a problem for the Orioles, as I'm sure Bonds is leading the way. And the Reds, they've got Dykstra, Kruk, Canseco, Boggs, Tony Fernandez. I mean, nothing spectacular on the pitching side, but their hitting is definitely carrying them through, and they're winning games, and that's all that matters. So the Phillies are up 2.5 over the Expos. We're up 4 over the Reds. The Dodgers have a 6.5 game lead opened up over the Giants, and the Reds are sitting comfortably 10.5 up in the wild card. In the AL, the Orioles have a 4-game lead over the Blue Jays, who do have Clemens back, and they've got Drabek, who's struggling, David Cohn struggling, Tom Gordon still starting, Charles Nagy. They did pick up Eckersley, who's still doing great, but it was time to pass the torch for us. They don't have the runs being scored. They're first in batting average, though. We've got the Brewers that are 6.5 up over the Twins, thanks to Don Mattingly having a fantastic season, and Piazza and Manny Ramirez and Brett Boone and Greg Vaughn. They've got some, and Pedro Estacio, I remember him. He was a good one. California is 4.5 up over the A's in the West, and the Twins are a half game up on the Blue Jays. The Twins are a little bit disappointing, I would say. Their runs are being scored, and they're third in runs against, first in runs scored. They're just not winning the games, I guess, that they should be. But let's take a look at the league leaders at the break. Greg Jeffries has a 356 batting average, one better than Donnie Baseball. Don Mattingly, Ron Gant, and Frank Thomas are both tied with 28 home runs. Tony Armas has 81 RBI. Eric Young with 30 stolen bases. Bonds with a 1.145 OPS. He's got 26 home runs. He's hitting 329. I mean, forget about it. How many stolen bases? 19. He had 32 last season. 30. Sheesh. I'm glad he's in the American League. And hopefully he doesn't make it to the World Series against us. Bonds has a 4.3 WAR, barely beating out Bagwell. Jeff Conine had a 41-game hitting streak. 41 games. That is the record I think we've seen in our run here. Danny Jackson has a 2.38 ERA and 13 wins, but Andy Bennis has 114 strikeouts. John Wetland with 26 saves, and Kevin Apier along with Ben McDonald with a 3-pitcher WAR. In the NL, Gwynn is making his run at the 400 mark. He's hitting 411 at the break. Maybe if we just sit him, he'll get it. Kevin Mitchell has 34 home runs. He's the one making a run at 60. Williams and Bell are both sitting at 28. Williams with 87 RBI. Lofton has 34 stolen bases, but Biggio, our guy, is hitting 321. He's on base 39% of the time and has 30 stolen bases as well. Mitchell has a 1.126 OPS. Gwynn is not far behind him because he's just on base 46% of the time, and he's slugging the ball pretty decent. He's got lucky number 7 there, 7 home runs. He might actually pass that. Albert Bell, 4.9 batter WAR. Tony Fernandez and Eddie Murray both had 20-game hitting streaks. Gwynn's sitting at 17 at the moment active. Greg Maddux with a 2.13 ERA. Jimmy Key, the one that got away and also beat us several times in the playoffs, is sitting in third. Greg Maddux with 13 wins, followed by Johnson. Johnson, though, with 148 strikeouts. Jose Rio is having another solid season, which is good to see him bounce back after the rough last one. Trevor Hoffman, in his first year as the closer role, struggling a little bit, but has 22 saves, tying the great Lee Smith, and Greg Maddux with a 4.8 pitcher WAR. One thing I did forget at the beginning of the season is to check in on the Hall of Fame. Joe Morgan got in on his first year with 99% of the vote, and Clete Boyer, after 7 years, finally got in. I think that was well-deserved based on what he did in our run here with 300 home runs, a 73 WAR, 1,100 runs, 2,600 hits, 4 Gold Gloves, lots of All-Stars, 3 Silver Sluggers, got an NLCS MVP. I mean, the guy had a heck of a run over that time. So it was good to see that. Willie Davis got dropped. Tommy John doesn't look like he's going to make it. No, Carlton Fisk got dropped. Doesn't even make a dent, really. But let's check in on the All-Star rosters. In the AL, it is Danny Jackson sitting there at starting position out of Milwaukee with his 13-4 record. Eckersley getting it in Toronto. He's 6-1 on top of those 18 saves. Dominant. Darren Dalton at catcher, hitting .285, beating out Piazza. Must be playing better defense as well. Cecil Fielder has 25 home runs and gets the start over McGuire and Mattingly and Olerud. And Thomas also gets a nod, probably one of them as DH. Lou Whitaker at second. Jeff Bagwell at third, having another solid year. Barry Larkin at short. Barry Bonds in left. David Justice in center. And Jay Buhner showing up for his second All-Star appearance in a row for the Boston Red Sox, on pace to hit 44 home runs. In the NL, it is Greg Maddux getting the start. Jose Rio also makes it for us. Tom Hinkie gets the start in relief. Dave Nielsen, we were hoping he would show up, and he does. He's got a 2.3 WAR. He's hitting .311, .533 slugging, 10 home runs. That's really good to see. But Mike Stanley gets the start. John Kruk, our old teammate, gets there for first base, beating out Mo Vaughn. It's his first one. Welcome, Mo. On pace for 35 home runs. Craig Biggio at second. That looks like that was going to be a good trade. Bobby Bonilla at third, beating Matt Williams out. Bonilla signed for the Pirates. An extension in the offseason. Or, well, is it an extension or where was he at? Yeah, it was an extension in the offseason. Ripken is back for the first time in a while at shortstop. So 94. Oh, no, not that long ago. He just kind of misses a year here and there and shows back up. We've got in the outfield Albert Bell in left, Ellis Burks in center. I almost went for him in the free agent market, but I decided to let Edmonds do his thing. Gwynn apparently hitting .413 at the time was not enough. Ken Griffey Jr., though, I mean, he's doing well, but Gwynn with a 4 WAR to not get it over. Well, Burks beat him out. That's right, not Griffey. Joe Carter traded him away, and he's having his best offensive year yet. Of course he is. But let's see. And Matt Williams, finally, he beats Barry Bonds, takes home the home run challenge in the Derby. He's been second a couple times, but this time not to be denied. He is up to 181 right now. Hopefully he will pass the 200 mark this season. I mean, he's had 2 massive RBI seasons. Let's hope that continues as well. Jim Edmonds doing okay back there, batting in 8th. I have Ozzie in front because last year he got on base so many times. He's struggling this year. We might swap that around, but he is, because he's not scoring as many runs as I thought he would. But I don't like having all those lefties in a row necessarily either. So that's where we're at. Glavin's struggling. Rest of the pitching staff's doing okay. Franco's been great. We moved him to setup man. Mesa's been doing well. So overall, you can see we're doing fine on everything except our zone rating. Also, base running is a hindrance. Home runs, we've actually been climbing up, but that's been led by Matt Williams. But Galarraga and Paul O'Neill and Edmonds, I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in double digits in home runs. I would expect Gwynn to get there by the end of the year, but who knows? So let's get on with it, see if we can hold off the Reds, and see what the playoffs play out like in the first time with a wild card team. It was an exciting first season with the wild cards. We ended up winning the Central Division by 4.5 over the Reds, who just barely held on to the wild card, 1 game better than the Cubs. Meanwhile, in the East, the Phillies won by 11 games over the Expos, and the Dodgers by 14 over the Giants as the Rockies racked up a 100-loss season. Baltimore, meanwhile, with the new addition Barry Bonds, won by 11 over Toronto. The Brewers by 11 over the Twins with a 102-win season, best in the majors. The Angels had 95 to win by 14 over the A's. And the Twins made it into the wild card slot by 4 games over. Now, both of us, with the best records in our league, had to end up facing a rival who arguably was just as good, if not better, than the next best division winner. So the Brewers had to go up against the Twins. We had to go up against the Reds. When we look at the playoffs, In the division series, we did get 3-0. We swept the Reds away with Matt Williams picking up the MVP. The Brewers took out the Twins, the Orioles, the Angels, both in 5 games, and the Dodgers swept the Phillies. In the LCS, we won 4-2 after dropping down 2-1. We were able to come back and win the next 3 with Paul O'Neill picking up the honors of the MVP of the series with 10 hits and a .476 average. The Brewers, meanwhile, dismantled the Orioles in 6 games, which means we faced them in the World Series, and they battered us. So Royce Clayton, out of all people, with his 2 home runs, who knew? But they had 907 runs, which was 3rd in the AL. Well, we had 888 for first. We were first in both. They were 3rd and first. But they were really good on the road, much better than we were, even though we were better at home. And so the Brewers ended up winning their 3rd championship, first one since 1983. And we are still without one in the 90s, falling further behind our pace of trying to catch the Yankees in their 27. We need to pick up the pace. We are falling behind where they were in reality. I think we're 1 behind where they were, but we've got to see if we can catch up. I like our team, though. We're in pretty good shape. Now, when we look at the league leaders, Jeff Bagwell won the batting title in the AL with a .336 average. Frank Thomas had 52 home runs, by McGuire 50 right behind him. Frank Thomas had 141 RBI as well. If only he would have had a bigger average, he'd have a triple crown at 311. Now remember, this is 94, the strike-shortened season, so we get to see how things might have played out. Lance Johnson had 55 stolen bases. Bonds had a 1100 OPS, 1100, 44 home runs, 329 average. Maybe if we had him, it would have changed things. Bagwell with a 7-8 batter WAR. Jeff Conine, that 41-game hitting streak remained untouched. Danny Jackson with a 3.15 ERA and 21 wins, but Andy Bennis with 213 strikeouts. John Wetland had 42 saves, and Saberhagen a 6.3 pitcher WAR. In the NL, Tony Gwynn did it. Hit 400. It's the first one, I think, since we had Ted Williams do it. Hit about 410 one season. Hit exactly 400, along with 8 home runs and 83 RBIs. He also had 118 runs and 55 doubles. Albert Bell set a new record for us with 58 home runs. I think Josh Gibson had the previous single-season record at 55. Albert Bell just passed it. Kevin Mitchell not far behind. Kevin Mitchell, though, had 154 RBI, and that's where Matt Williams with his 43 home runs had 145 again. Craig Biggio with 46 stolen bases, third, had 140 runs. Still not the league leader, though. Kenny Lofton had 138 runs. Not the league leader. Was Bell? No. Man, runs galore here. Albert Bell had the 1130 OPS, even better than Mr. Bonds over there. To Griffey, 106 runs. No, it's not even him. I don't know who's leading the league in runs. Albert Bell had the 8.7 WAR. Tony Fernandez and Eddie Murray both had 20-game hitting streaks. Murray continuing to do well. Greg Maddux had the ERA crown with a 2.91 and 20 wins, but Johnson with 262 strikeouts. Jose Rio third there. We are letting him leave. He's a bit of a wild card. He wants $6 million to stay. David Cone looks like he might be a free agent, so I kind of would rather maybe take a shot at him or somebody else who might come available. Lee Smith with 40 saves, barely beating out Trevor Hoffman, and Greg Maddux with a 7.8 WAR. Now let's check out the awards. I will mention Ozzie Smith did retire. He opted out of his last year on his player option to just retire. So in the Gold Glove category, John Smoltz picks it up for the pitchers in the AL. Butch Weniger at catcher, John Olerud at first, Robbie Thompson at second, Rafael Bornegal at third, Brent Gates at short, Roberto Kelly, Marquise Grissom, and Chris James in the outfield. In the NL, it was Alan Ripley, Terry Steinbach at catcher, John Kruk at first, Mike Benjamin at second, Terry Pendleton, another one of our former guys, getting at third, Cal Ripken Jr. at short, making his way back into the spotlight, Ray Langford, Eric Davis, and Steve Finley round up the outfield. The AL reliever of the year went to Randy Myers in the AL for Milwaukee with 21 first place votes. His 40 saves and 2.23 ERA, besting Jeff Montgomery. While Greg McMichael in the NL with 26 first place votes beats out Mark Eichhorn. 2.34 ERA and 33 saves. Nothing for Hoffman at all. Nothing. That's surprising. Silver Sluggers go to Darren Dalton in the AL at catcher, Frank Thomas at first, Lou Whitaker at second, Jeff Bagwell, the batting champion, getting at third with 41 home runs as well. Barry Larkin, 17 home runs, a 3.26 average, 7.4 WAR, picks it up at short. Barry Bonds in left, David Justice in center, Manny Ramirez in right, and Juan Gonzalez as the DH. Silver Sluggers goes to Jose Rio, hit 342 as a pitcher. No home runs, though. Mike Stanley at catcher, Eddie Williams at first, Craig Biggio at second, our new addition paid off, Bobby Bonilla at third, Tony Fernandez at short, and the outfield consisted of Albert Bell, Kenny Lofton, and Ken Griffey Jr. If only one of them would leave the Phillies. Manny gets the unanimous Rookie of the Year in the AL with his 33 home run, 104 RBI effort. And Ryan Klesko, almost unanimous, but Ishmael Valdez picks up a first-place vote, having a 3.4 ERA and 11.10 record. Klesko hit 39 home runs and 121 RBIs, 295. How does that? He was nowhere near that in 1994. He doesn't get anywhere near that. 34 is his best outing. Wow. Cy Young's in the AL unanimously to Danny Jackson. We did see how he led a couple of those categories. And Maddux unanimously in the NL. Congratulations, Greg Maddux, Mad Dog. MVP goes to Jeff Bagwell, beating out Larkin and Bonds, who both picked up a handful of votes. And Albert Bell unanimously takes it with the home run crown and the new single-season record. Can't argue with that, but look at the Phillies here. Lofton, Griffey, and Stanley are 3, 4, and 5 in that. But we have Gwynn, Biggio, Williams, Maddux, O'Neill all showing up there as well. Like I said, Ozzie Smith retired. He is going to retire with 2,300 hits, 74 triples, 1,100 runs scored, 659 stolen bases. He's going to have a shot. So he had more stolen bases for us. Roughly the same everything else, it looks like. And he's probably not going to get in the Hall unless some things change, because the Hall is so hard to get into at this point. Now, we are ready for the first-year player draft. We haven't got the free agency yet. We can take a quick look at who might be one. Kevin Mitchell, Edgar Martinez, Jose Rio. We know he's going to be. Shane Mack, Ellis Burks, Wade Boggs, Paul Molitor, still getting it done, hitting .315 last season. David Cone, that's who I have my eye on. Add to the pitching. Lyman Bostock went to Oakland. He's past 300 hits, or 3,000 hits, I'm sorry. He's finally getting some metrics here, but he's never led the league in anything. That's hurting him. But he's been a good player. Eric Davis is going to be out there. John Smiley. David Wells, that's an intriguing one. Maybe a cheaper version than David Cone. So there are some big names out there. Todd Helton's the big name leading this draft class. Miguel Tejada's in there as well. Dud Minkevich. Oh, man, it's been so long since I've had to say that name. Hideo Nomo, the 26-year-old, ready to go right out of the gate. When we look at the mock draft, it has us taking Mark Quinn. I'd rather get Ryan Dempster. Oh, Bronson Arroyo's in this draft as well. Carl Pavano, solid. Now, these are a lot of ones who are solid players, but they didn't really have the overarching career. Roy Halladay's out there. I'd love to get him. Carlos Beltran would be a fantastic addition. Kerry Wood, if his arm stays on, would be great. Matt Morris. Freddie Garcia. He's another one. He was solid. But again, they're at the era where home runs are going nuts in the power numbers. But there are definitely some names out here. Trot Nixon, Octavio Dotel, Darren Erstad. Ooh, this one's going to be, we're going to get somebody decent. So that's exciting. Roy Halladay would be great to get, him or Beltran. But let's see. Colorado, first off the board, is going to take Todd Helton. Oh, that's fitting. I'm glad they ended up with him. Detroit's going to take Joe Nathan. Hideo Nomo goes to the Yankees. Carlos Guillen to the Royals. Roy Halladay to the Mariners. Octavio Dotel to the Red Sox. The Padres pick up Darren Erstad. Doug Mientkiewicz goes to the Astros. Kerry Wood to the Marlins. A.J. Burnett to the Mets, another solid pitcher. Sean Casey's up here as well. Francisco Cordero to Cleveland. Miguel Tejada to the Braves. Damaso Marte, never heard of him, goes to the Expos. Jeff Jenkins to the Rangers over Carlos Beltran. That's interesting. Sean Casey goes to the Giants. The Reds, Matt Morris. That's well ahead of where he was expected to go in the mock draft. Carlos Beltran goes to the A's. They were fooling me. I thought he was going to somehow slip further. Oh, that would have been great. Pittsburgh takes Jason Varitek. Blue Jays pick up Ryan Dempster. Carl Pavano to the Braves. Chicago White Sox take Trot Nixon. Odalis Perez to the Phillies. Freddie Garcia was so close. Went to the Twins. The Cubs get Bronson Saturn Nuts Arroyo. I haven't heard that nickname for him. Mark Bellhorn to the Reds. Mark Redmond to the Dodgers. The Angels get Randy Wynn. And they say we should take Mike Lau. I don't think we need to take Mike Lowell. Kyle Farnsworth's out there. I remember him being decent. Maybe I'm misremembering. Apparently I am. Maybe he was one of those fantasy team guys I just put on there late. Didn't have much to go with. Let's take a look at all the batters first off. Mike Lowell might be who we end up with. Oh, let's see. Not many others out there. Let's check out the pitchers. Farnsworth, head and shoulders above the rest as far as the stars go. Danny Graves, there's a solid one. He had a solid run. That may be who we go with. Brett Tomko, another solid pitcher. Maybe not as solid as I remember. Man, I thought they were a lot better. Let's check one more over here. Russell Branyan is a big bat. Mike Lowell or Danny Graves. We're going to go with Danny Graves. There we go. And in the 29th, Baltimore is going to take Mike Lowell. And then to wrap up the first round, Milwaukee is taking Brad Fulmer. So that's where we're at. I'm going to wrap up this draft, go through the offseason, hopefully get some good key additions, and get ready for the 1995 season, which was another shortened season. I think there was only 140-something games played because they were just coming back from the strike about a week before opening day was going to begin. So that'll be another one, what-if season, especially for these shortened ones. So let's see what that season has in store as we get ready and jump to 1995. We are ready for opening day 1995, and I think this is going to be a good year for us. We did make some free agent additions. We got David Cohn. We also got Tom Hinkie, and we got Paul Bird in the Rule 5 draft. Not that he's going to be anything special, but he's going to be solid for us. And David Wells, we were able to sign him as well. So we're looking beyond this season. When Christensen's contract's up, we're probably just going to let him go. Finley, is going to have some competition this way, but this is a heck of a pitching staff right here. We will have Biggio, Gwynn, Williams, Galarraga, Paul O'Neill, Jim Edmonds, Vizquel, and Dave Nilsson. Not the strongest of lineups, but good enough. And we, unfortunately, Jose Rio decided to go to our rival, the Reds. Edgar Martinez signed for the Pirates, and Ricky Henderson moved over to Florida, going to the Marlins. So I thought that was interesting. But Rio being in the Reds, that's going to be interesting to see. Did we let him go too soon, or are we going to be okay? That's a team we beat in the playoffs last season. So this is going to be one that it's going to be telling. Hopefully we made the right choice. Let's take a look at the Hall of Fame voting results. It was Goose Gossage got in. He was 112 wins, 357 saves, 30 WAR. Real life, he had 124 wins, 310 saves, 25 WAR. So he was fairly close. He got the reliever of the year 3 times in ours. So, and then Ted Simmons getting in. His name showed up quite a bit. All Minnesota, his whole career. Looked like he still had some left in him in those previous years, but he dropped like a rock in that last one with a -1.2 WAR. 266 in home runs, not much difference. 60 WAR in real life. He had 54 here, so he did not reach his heights, but that's because he also retired a few years early after that really bad season. He still had a little bit left in him, very little bit, looks like. But unfortunately, he didn't stay with it. So we are ready to kick this season off. I'm excited for it. I think this is going to be, this is going to be a chance. We got to try to do something here. We've got the team. The question is, can we put it together in the playoffs? So I think we'll get there, especially with the wild card now, but we have to be able to do it. The pitching is what I'm focusing on. We've got the defense with Edmonds and Vizquel. Biggio is not the best. Gwynn's not the best. So, we got to change that actually. Edmonds has to move to center. So I'll get that all done, but let's pick back up at the All-Star break. At the All-Star break, things are going well for our team. We are 57-32. That's a bit of a misnomer. We've only been barely ahead of the Reds all season until just the last 2 weeks when July hit. All of a sudden, we got hot. They did not. Massive separation out of nowhere because our stats, when you look at our team here, we cannot score runs. We are 10th, but we're doing great when it comes to our pitching, not so much our defense, but things are going okay and they're working out. So let's take a look at the league leaders and the standings. The Mets are a game up on the Phillies. We're 9.5 up on the Reds. The Astros are over with us. The Dodgers are a game and a half up over the Giants, who are in first of the wild card by 4 games over the Reds. The Orioles, led by Bonds, are crushing at 61-27, 16 up over the Yankees. The Twins are 8.5 up over the White Sox. The Rangers just a half game up over the Angels, 2 up. This is a tight race here, 4 games out for the Mariners. The Angels are a game and a half up on the A's. The Yankees might actually make the playoffs again, but I highly doubt it because they are good at not being good. They've got a team. That's about all I can say. Let's take a look at the league leaders. Jeff Conine for those Yankees is hitting .355 to lead the league. McGuire has 37 home runs at the break. 37. 1995. What did he hit? He had 39. He's already two home runs away. He had 9 in 1993 and 94. So he's already crushed that. Wow. He's going to set some numbers. He hasn't even hit his 70. Oh, wow. Okay, that's exciting to see what he's going to do. McGuire's 93 RBI. Eric Young, 35 stolen bases. Frank Thomas with a 1170 OPS. There's Bonds hitting 20 home runs, 59 RBI. Bonds does lead the league in batter war with 5.2. Rusty Greer with a 22-game hitting streak. Kurt Schilling has a 2.45 ERA. Peter Shorrock with 13 wins. Hideo Nomo with 132 strikeouts in his rookie year. Mark Wallers with 25 saves, and Kurt Schilling with a 4.0 pitcher WAR. In the NL, Gwynn's following up his 400 season, hitting .386 so far. Mo Vaughn has 29 home runs. The AL's like, what? Where are you guys at? You don't have anybody hitting 30 home runs? Palmeiro has 72 RBI. Matt Williams is up there with us, 71. Kenny Lofton with 45 stolen bases. Biggio's up there in second. Gary Sheffield with a 1095 OPS, while Kenny Lofton leads the league in WAR at 4.5. He's also currently on a 23-game hitting streak. Quite the season Kenny Lofton is having. Man, I did not realize he started his career so good. I started really watching him around this eras where I can really remember him in the 98 to 2000 era. But, I mean, I knew he was good. I didn't know he was that good. Where are we at? Hitting ERA. Randy Johnson, he's finding his stride here with a 2.75 ERA. Only an 8-3 record. Pat Hintgen for the Dodgers has 11 wins along with John Smiley for the Phillies. Johnson, though, has 156 strikeouts, besting Pedro Martinez. Jose Rio is having a good season for the Reds. Might have let him go a year too soon, but at the same time, I don't think he's going to last for longer than that. Trevor Hoffman is doing his thing with 32 saves already, anchoring that bullpen. And Maddux with a 4.6 WAR, barely beating out Randy Johnson. When we look at the all-star teams, in the AL, it's Kurt Schilling getting the start. Slocum gets it at closer. Mike Piazza at catcher with his 15 home runs and 3.46 average. Surhoff, our former guy, is having a good, solid season. I did try to trade for him back, but they won too much. Mark McGwire in first, no surprise there. Jeff Cirillo at second base as a rookie. Wade Boggs over at Baltimore doing his things. He got traded from Boston. So Baltimore got Boggs by trading away Jeffrey Hammonds, Chan-Ho Park, and Bryant Nelson. Boston barely had him, and they traded him away, and now he's there with Bonds. Wow. Larkin gets it at shortstop, hitting .322. Barry Bonds gets it at left, but Dante Bichette's having a good season as well. Center field goes to David Justice, who's best Bernie Williams, who has the better WAR, but the hitting, I mean, it's pretty close. Bernie's going to get there soon enough. And Larry Walker, best Manny Ramirez and Tim Salmon, but Walker's having the better overall season. Manny's going to be up there pretty soon. Greg Maddux gets the start for the NL. Johnson's also on the roster. Tom Hinkie, the reliever we brought in as a free agent, is lights out and getting an appearance, but Greg McMichael gets the relief pitcher start. Lee Smith is also on the team. He's having a heck of a career, just like in real life. Mike Stanley gets the start at catcher over Todd Hundley. First base goes to Mo Vaughn. Second to Chuck Knobloch. He can still throw the ball from second, apparently. Edgar Martinez at third. Shortstop goes to Cal Ripken Jr. Albert Bell for the Dodgers in left. Gwynn gets a nod for the team, but Kenny Lofton gets the start in center, and Griffey gets it in right. So our team offensively is struggling. Galarraga's struggling. O'Neill is struggling after such a good season last year. Matt Williams is doing well. Gwynn's doing well, but we are having a hard time. Edmonds is doing but the pitching is doing okay. Cohn's not that great. Glavine has struggled at times. Finley has struggled. Larry Christensen got hurt yet again for a couple weeks, but he's back. But this is his last season with us. The bullpen is phenomenal for us, and that's what's getting us and winning for us. We're going to see if we can hold off. We should be able to make it to the playoffs, but we've been struggling when we get into the playoffs. Hopefully this will be something different, and we get on track to start tracking down that historical Yankee team in our World Series victories. Well, the season wrapped up, and we finished strong with a 107-55 record to win the division by 16 games over the Reds, who got in on the 2 games over the Mets in the wild card. The Dodgers won by 5 games with 92 wins in the West, and the Phillies with 96 wins beat out the Mets by 7 games. Bonds and the Orioles beat the Yankees by 25 games. The Blue Jays lost 106. The White Sox won the division over the Twins, kind of coming out of nowhere to win by 5 games with 97 wins. The Twins do get in by 2 games over Cleveland, though, for the wild card. And California got the West by a game over the A's with 89 wins, the lowest out of all the playoff teams. When we got to the playoffs, we had to face the wild card of the Reds, and we won the first 2 games behind Maddux and Johnson, only to lose to Jose Rio in the third, and then losing 2-1. And then Maddux we couldn't do anything, and we lose. Lenny Dykstra getting the MVP of the series. So we were knocked out in the LCS. The Angels swept Bonds and the Orioles, and the Dodgers beat the Reds behind Albert Bell. So it came to the World Series. In California, Angels, they won their first World Series on their 7th trip, first one since last season. The Dodgers have won 6. They've still gone now over 20 years since they won a World Series, but the Angels are on for their first one. When we look at the league leaders, Mike Piazza got the batting crown in the AL, hitting .371. McGwire, 72 home runs. He's already hit his 70. The man is going to put up some record numbers in this simulation. He's already up to 405 home runs. He's not hit his biggest seasons yet, you've got to figure he's going to have, there's at least 100, at least 200. He's probably going to get around 600 something home runs, maybe even more than that, depending on if he throws out numbers like that. He also hit 171 RBI. Eric Young with 56 stolen bases. McGuire had the 1139 OPS, beating out Thomas. Bonds with the 7-7 WAR, though. John Valentin had a 24-game hitting streak. Kurt Schilling with a 3.0 ERA, beating out Schmaltz. Pete Shorrock with 21 wins. Kevin Apier, Hideo Nomo, and John Smoltz all tying with 222 strikeouts. Mark Wohlers had 39 saves, and Kevin Apier with 7 in the pitcher WAR category. Gwynn got another batting title, hitting 367, beating out our former guy, Lyman Bostock, who might be a free agent this season. I almost traded for him with Paul O'Neill's struggles, but I think O'Neill long-term, and I was like, well, I don't know what to give up for Bostock. And it's only for a year at that. He apparently has not retired, though. Albert Bell had 54 home runs. Harold Baines with 138 RBI. Kenny Lofton, 76 stolen bases. Albert Bell with a 106.3 OPS and a 9.2 batter WAR. Kenny Lofton had a 25-game hitting streak. Shane Reynolds with a 2.72 ERA, climbing back up there after a rough 1994 season. John Smiley had 23 wins. Maddux got up to 20. Randy Johnson with the 286 strikeouts. Slowed down on the ERA as he went down the road, but he still had a fantastic season. Trevor Hoffman with 52 saves, setting a standard there. And Greg Maddux with an 8.7 WAR. We did not have anybody retire. We are going to see Larry Christensen go off to free agency. Paul O'Neill opted out, but we signed him. We are also going to let Joe Girardi go as well. When we look at the awards for the season before we get to the draft, we will see who it is. I'm sure McGuire's going to win after that. But in the Gold Gloves for the AL, it was John Smoltz at pitcher, Greg Myers at catcher, Greg Colbran at first, Glenn Hubbard at second, Wade Boggs at third, Craig Graybeck at short, and the outfield was Bonds, Marquise Grissom, and Jesse Barfield. The Orioles had 4 Gold Glovers. In the NL, it was Ed Whitson at pitcher, Dan Wilson at catcher, Palmeiro at first, Mark Lemke at second, Mike Bordick at third, Ripken gets it again at short, and the outfield was Dave Martinez, Chuck Carr, and Andy Van Slyke. The AL reliever of the year goes in a 14 first-place votes to 12. Waller's the save man did not win. Instead, 34 saves, 9-4 record. Mike Henneman with a 2.35 ERA gets it. Rob Nen beats out Trevor Hoffman. Wow. 2.15 ERA, 32 saves, 76 strikeouts. Hoffman just as good, but had more. Wow. In a tight one, Jose Mesa, his teammate, got a first-place vote as a setup man. Went 11-1 with 1 save. 1.88 ERA. Cost his teammate possibly the reliever of the year. Silver Sluggers go to Mike Piazza in the American League. Frank Thomas at first. McGuire's got to have it as DH then. Jeff Cirillo at second. Wade Boggs at third. Valentin at short. The outfield went to Bonds, Marty Cordova, Larry Walker, and yes, Mark McGuire at DH. The NL went to Greg Swindell at pitcher, Mike Stanley at catcher, Mo Vaughn at first, Chuck Knobloch at second, Matt Williams picking up one with his 105 runs, 130 RBI, 40 home run effort. Jim Thome at short. Oh, that'd be a first baseman for us. Albert Bell, Kenny Lofton, and Gary Sheffield all in the outfield. We've got the Rookie of the Year going to Jeff Cirillo, beating out A-Rod. Both are White Sox. No wonder they finished in first. Man, they're set up there. The NL went to Sean Green unanimously. Nope, Jason Schmidt got 1 vote. Sean Green for the Phillies, though, picking that up. Astros had 2 getting some votes. Cy Young went to Pete Shorrock, beating out Schilling and Schmaltz. Shorrock was 21-7 with a 3.29 ERA and 200 strikeouts, while Shane Reynolds almost unanimously. Johnson picked up 1 vote, but Reynolds with his second Cy Young award. McGuire takes it unanimously in the AL for MVP. No surprise there. And the NL goes to Albert Bell. Perhaps the surprise, even though he had 54 home runs, was that, and hit 331, was that it was a unanimous one, beating out Lofton, Sheffield, Williams. No one else got a first place vote. When we go to the first year player draft now, let's take a look at some of the big ones. We are picking last. It is expected that we will take Robert Fick. Adrian Beltre is the big name in this one. There's not a lot of big stars in this one in the future. Adrian Beltre's there. Aramis Ramirez, Jimmy Rollins, Mark Kotze. You've got solid players, but not a lot of big ones. Jeremy Giambi's in there. Alex Cora. Not a lot of big names. Power hitters, not really. Yeah. It's a thin draft. We're not going to get anybody in the back probably. Eric Gagne is the big pitcher name, and really nobody. Oh, Freddie Garcia. I missed Freddie Garcia in there. He started with so much promise. But we'd take him. Ted Lilly, not bad. Jeff Nelson for relief. Yeah, not a lot out in this one. So let's see how things go before we wrap up this episode at the midpoint of the 1990s. So with the first draft pick of 1995, the Blue Jays are going to take Eric Gagne, not taking Beltre. That's interesting. Boston's going to get Kiko Calero. Is this going to be one of those things where they're going to tease us and Beltre's going to fall to like 15? Colorado gets Milton Bradley. Oh, nope. They just wanted to get him in our division. So the Cubs get him. Great. The Marlins take Nick Johnson. Kansas City gets Aramis Ramirez. The Expos, Justin Ducheur. Kevin Gregg to the Tigers. Brad Penny, missed him. That's a solid pitcher for the Astros for at least a couple of years. Jimmy Rollins to the Braves. Doug Davis goes number 11 to the Padres. Milwaukee gets Freddie Garcia. The Yankees, Livan Hernandez. That's another name I didn't see show up, but that's a solid one. Seattle gets John Bale. Ted Lilly to the Rangers. Junior Spivey to the Giants. Shea Hillenbrand to the Pirates. Wade Miller to the A's. Mark Kotze to the Mets. Cliff Polite to the Angels. Cleveland gets Marco Scutaro. Such a fun name to say. The Reds get Mark DeRosa. Christian Guzman goes to the Twins. And the Twins also pick Luis Vizcaíno up. Jacque Jones to the Dodgers. Jake Westbrook to the Phillies. Luis Matos to the White Sox. The Orioles get Brian Fuentes. And we are suggested to get Chad Bradford. Not the worst pick. We need some power to our lineup again, but we're just going to go with Bradford. So that wraps up the first round. That's also going to wrap up our 1995 season. So there was 1994-95 where we have a good regular season team. We just aren't winning in the playoffs. We got to find the missing pieces. The free agency crop this year is going to be pretty thin, it looks like. When we look at upcoming free agents, you got Bostock, who's got 1 year left in him. Jay Buhner, maybe. Kirk Gibson, past his prime. Mattingly as well. Tino Martinez, not bad. He's at 27. He's probably one of your best pitchers hitters long term that's out there. Christensen's going to be out there. We don't need him. Eckersley's back out there. Don't need him. It's the hitting that we need to figure out what we're going to do. Not the right Chris Carpenter there. Is it? Cardinal? Yeah. Not the right one. So not a lot out there. Lee Smith, but he's on the tail end of his career as well. So it is a thin free agent class. Not sure what we're going to do, where we can plug the holes. But McGuire, we're going to watch him and see what he goes on to. He could be setting the career record, passing Gibson, hitting 800 home runs at this rate. Who knows? But I want to thank you all for joining me on this episode. I hope you're enjoying it. It's been fun seeing this alternate history play out. So until next time, as we go into the second half of the 1990s, take care of yourselves, and we will see you on the next episode.